Alright, hello, today I'm back finally, but I'm going to be doing a live video. It's going to be a shorter one, since it's not Friday yet, but I'm going to be doing an equation that I've been learning some equations just on paper. You can see with this giant sheet of paper, all different equations, which I won't be teaching all of them, but I will be doing one big equation. Let me start. I have to explain some of the formulas too. It's a big question. So we start with this question. So, just joking, this question. But it becomes bigger. So this should be it, right? No, this isn't it. Alright, it's gonna keep going. How long is it go? Okay, that's it. Then this is a big equation, as you can see. Which, this does look like a disaster. My handwriting is a disaster. But I'm gonna explain some of it. I will show you what the equation should actually look like. But this is just what the equation does right now. And also, if you're confused, let me find some. Well, I'll get back to that later, but there's a problem with this which does fix based on a value or something. So we have to do this. So this equation looks very hard, but it's not. It's kind of just like a bunch of different equations. I bet everyone who is watching this can do this. And probably all these separate equations too. It's just that, but combining and simplifying to get actual answer. It is actually a single digit number. It is a decimal, but it's not some weird number. So I'll show you how to get it. So, let me move this over. Let me get my equation. So we start with part 1, which this is part 1. The plus sign splits them. Right here. The plus sign splits the equation in half. This is a much smaller one. And we simplify like separately too. So we start with this part of the equation. And so we evaluate it first. So this is the equation just to make sure this is the equation that we're doing. And we evaluate, sorry for camera problems, but we start with this part only. We split up even more. So the first term is A equals 2, I believe. And R, which is the common ratio, equals 3/4 because of this. And I'm not generally sure why it equals 2. I was just researching it. I found out it does. I'm trying to remember which rule. I will cut a part of this video to show a rule that I was using, but right now I'm not quite sure about it. So we have the common ratio in A, which is just a placeholder. So now we use the geometry series rule, which is basically saying the sum is A divided by 1 minus R, or common ratio. So it would look like 2/1 minus 3/4, based on the equation. 3/4, and 2 is on the top, and then you have to do 1 minus, which will go about to 2 divided by 1/4, which would be about 8, since it's dividing, now multiplying. So now, that was easy though. So now we do 8 next. And as we see in the first equation, it's almost like a power to. This may not look that great, but it's supposed to be raised. This is raised up above 4. Okay, so we start with this, which is technically raised above, including this K too, it's just the power now we're doing. So this is just basically the power of 8. or 8 to the power of what? So, now, let me get back. So we start with this, and k would equal 2, so first term, a would equal 1 over 3, and the common ratio would equal 1 over 3 too. Okay? Hopefully that makes so much sense. I'm not that great at explaining it, I was just researching it. This is all the info I found, but I'm just trying to show how to simplify. So, right now we have a is equal to 1 over 3, and the common ratio, which is r, is equal to 1 over 3. So, and since the sum rule, which we use again for this, is a divided by 1 minus r. Again, so we do the sum of a equals the sum equals a divided by 1 minus r, which is 1 over 3 divided by 1 minus 1 over 3, which would be 1 over 3 divided by 2 over 3, which would just equal 1 over 2. So the part together is 8 to the 1 over 2 power, or 1 divided by 2 power, which would look something like this. And this is the upper power. So that's it. That would be easy for the first part. The second part gets a little confusing, and I'm going to explain why. Let me get it over there. So, this is just part 1. If you want to look at it, I'll move it slowly. And this is what it looks like. Alright. Now make sure it's a to the 1 over 2 power. So now we get the next page. Also, our equation, this whole thing is only a to the 1 over 2 power. Right now. Now part 2 is much more confusing. I'm gonna split this video up, put a little clip on my phone, just try to show the rule. But I don't really understand the rules that great. So I know not much people comment on my videos, but if anyone knows what these rules are and how to do them, I would really appreciate it. And if I am doing anything wrong, I did check this with an AI and did say it was correct, which I don't know if AIs are always correct. They may not, like Google, but just to make sure. Okay, let me continue. But yeah, I may have some mistakes, which I'm not 100% sure, but I usually research everything to confirm all the rules, and then I get the answer from eventually finding all the rules, which I have another rule thing, but this is just for this equation. But then after I do the rule thing, I make my own equation, and then I try to solve that, which I have been trying to do, like with the equation related to this. But the problem is with like other equations, I don't know how much it affects if I change the value of it. So that's my main problem. Now we start with part 2, which is evaluate the giant part 2. So you separate the parts. Okay. So now we have a equals 5 because of this right here. And r, or the common ratio, is 1 over 2 because of this. And so using the rule again for this part, which this is the first part. And just to make sure, we don't use all of this equation. Like the beginning part, we don't use because of s, which is dumb right now, but is actually good right now. I mean, it's dumb right now, but will be good later. So after simplifying that, we would get a 1 over 1 minus r, which would equal 5 over 1 minus 1 over 2, which would be 5 over 1 over 2, which would just be 10. So that's easy. This is where things start changing. So now we have I'm not sure what this is called. I like calling the pillar, because it kind of looks like one, but it involves a special rule which I understand may affect them. So the upper is 11, the bottom is a equals 3. parentheses 1 minus 1 over a to the second. This is easy. Use the telescoping property formula, which, give me 1 second. I'll be right back. This video will probably cut immediately for you, though. So continuing on to that, we can see that, and this is the picture of it that relates it. We go to the upper limit and then the low limit, which would equal this, which this is a different thing, so I'm going to try to research this, but it's telescoping series, which, let me find another example. Because the answer of this, which I probably didn't show, equals 2 over 11, which I don't really understand how you get upper limit 11, and then a equals 3 to that. Which, let me see how this is. Because this is different. The thing that makes sense is a to the second, which does happen in this. But it goes over -1 over a to the second, which equals 2 over 11, which is kind of weird. So, that's my problem. This rule makes the most sense because the power, which is obvious, and I guess it is over 1, but my question is, why is it negative? Why is it equal to 2 over 11? So I definitely need some help, so any information you guys have would be nice. And the next part, which I will show, equals 2, and we use the partial fractions rule, which I believe, I'm not sure what it is used in. Let me look at them. So, yeah, geometry. So it is used in this. But I don't understand how it works. And it does equal 2 because, let me see. Okay. It's more like splitting the equation, it seems like. So, let me look at a problem. Okay. Rational, partial. Okay. Okay, so I can kind of see it, but let me continue on to this part. Because this is the only part I'll be using for my phone. The rest of the equation isn't very bad. It is actually more easy. And let me continue now. Well, there is one other rule, which, let me quickly. It's called simplify as a incremental function. Yeah, function, fraction. Yeah, function. Okay. Yeah. So, okay, just to make sure. Okay. Now let me continue. And I'll be right back there. Alright, continuing on now. The first rule, which was the telescoping property, basically equals 2 over 11, which I understand the a to the second now. And over 1, of course, but I don't understand why is it negative. And what does 11 have to do? Is it just like not important? Or is it because it's the below equation? To make sure, maybe because the second power would go on the top over 11. But I'm not 100% sure. I just don't want to say that for every equation. Because if I get it wrong, I'll be like super confused. I don't want that to happen. So now we start with this, which this would go 2 over b to the second minus 1. Which I feel like the b equals 2 relates to the b to the second over 2. And then, of course, there's a minus 1. But I'm not 100% sure. I don't want to make sure. It may relate even to the a formula, too. Which may be opposite. But it equals about 2. which I do need help, so I know, hopefully, like, someone, like, maybe, like, a very good, like, mathematician, or, like, a scientist or something will find this video and just be able to tell me, because I want to confirm that I'm doing this right. Okay. So now after this, the equation equals a to the 1/2 power plus 5 and k equals 3. And this equation, which, this is s actually, sorry, because we don't know s yet, and then we put the remaining equation, which would be 2/11n, because we didn't use the n technically, plus 8n to the 2nd power, since n technically multiplies by, wait, give me a second. I made a little mistake. This relates to this. So, that wasn't, like, equals that. But it equals 2 somehow, which I'm not 100% sure why that happened too. But just to make sure, let me make sure I'm doing. Okay, this is part of the equation too. So, okay. So it is already a negative, but. So it seems like it used basic multiplication or something, but I want to make sure, like, it doesn't seem like basic multiplication. Because if this was, it would be completely different, obviously. It wouldn't be 2/11. There has to be a special rule, which there is. And so this is what the equation looks like. They're being multiplied by n, and this is simplified, this is simplified, and we can't do this because we don't know s, which is useful later. Now let's see. So now we have the bottom. This is the finish of the top, which is like this. I mean, it is an upgrade from all of this to only this. That is an upgrade, I would say. Now we start with this, which is easy. It just involves some rules. The first bottom part 1, which is this, which you know is just the sum equals a divided by 1 minus r rule, which a would be 1, and then r would be 4/5. So it would be the sum equals a divided by 1 minus r, or 1 divided by 1 minus 4/5, or 1 divided by 1/5, which is equal 5. So that's really easy. So now simplify this. And this is the confusing part to me. So we simplify as an exponential function, or function, which can simplify the 1.01, this 12u equals 4, parentheses u minus 1, which I understand the minus 1, just to make sure I'm not. Yeah, and this is 1.1, 1.01, I don't know why it looks like that. 1.01, u minus 1, yeah. So, just to not make any mistake. So, we make it more fair. And I guess technically you could calculate this in a way. And this would be equal to about 1.01 to the 54 power. Which isn't that big since it's only 1.01. I believe it's about 1.7 or something, but we'll come back to that later. So that was easy. So now the equation is the upper equation, which was this. Just to make sure this is right. Okay. And then 5 plus 1.01 to the 54. So the bottom simplifies really good too. It goes from this to this, like pretty good. Now time for part 2, now time for the final part where s, which is equal to 1 in this whole equation. Now we put this in the impact. Like I wouldn't have used it earlier because this is much more worth it now. So now we have the final part. Since s equals 1, the whole equation of part 2 becomes 0, which is like what? But that means that all of this, not the bottom at all or the top, becomes, but since this is a S relating to the whole equation, everything's in parentheses, everything this becomes 0. All of this, everything in my camera, except the bottom ones right here. So everything right here becomes 0. Which seems like what? Like what? But it becomes 0. And here's why. Since the summation starts at k equals 3, which is this, k equals 3. But why would the upper limit be 1? How would that affect it? And ends at s equals 1, that's supposed to be the upper limit. There are no terms to sum. This is because the starting index is greater than the ending index. So everything equals 0. So all of this equals 0 except parentheses 8 to the 1 over 2 and the bottom. So the equation now becomes this. This is it. Isn't that like really easy? Well, plus 0 of course, but that doesn't matter. So this is it. And 8 to the 1 over 2 power equal about 2 square root of 2. Which could go down to, which also 1.01 to 54 equals about 1.7, which equals 6.7. Now it's only 2 square root of 2 divided by 6.704. And you can even put this in your calculator. It would equal about 0.4214044682. And that's our final answer. So just to summarize, we had all of this. We had all of part 1, all of part 2, part 1 and part 2 on the bottom, and then a special rule, and we turn it to 0.4. So isn't that amazing? We start with this, which literally looks like something Albert Einstein would be doing as one of his challenge math questions, something insanely hard. And it only goes, it's only about approximately 0.42. So it's pretty interesting how math looks so hard, but it's just so fun, and it can be easy based on the rules you used. So thank you for watching, and hopefully you learned something here. Because this equation, I came to and was what am I doing? Why am I researching them? But it wasn't very bad. It's more just separate equations in one to make it look scary. I could make this equation go on for 20 different pluses, do plus, 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 plus. And then people could get heart attacks and it would only equal 0.9487. And I could do the same for the bottom. I could literally give people heart attacks by having 10 pages that goes all the way from here to here. But it equals only such a simple answer once you use the good rules. So thank you so much for watching. I very appreciate it. Hope you come back soon, and thank you for watching. Hope to see you again soon. And if anyone says something if anything is wrong, please tell me, because I don't really mind if you say what I'm doing wrong, because I more appreciate that I can fix that. And just thank you if you do. And also just thank you for watching. Goodbye.